Hey guys, welcome to the Health Freedom Show. Today is Monday, October 26th. In today's episode, I'm going to go over Glaucoma Hope updates for 2020. My name is Morentin. I'm the host of the Health Freedom Show. I went blind due to glaucoma and got my vision back with cannabis oil several years ago. I started Glaucoma Hope to document my fight for my eyesight and give others hope in the process. This is my first Glaucoma Hope update for 2020. There are several occurrences, both good and bad, that have happened throughout the year, and I wanted to make sure and document them. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now. And let me just make this a little bit bigger. Alrighty. So first, we'll go over the itinerary for the presentation. This is my first Glaucoma Hope video of 2020. So things we're going to cover in the video: the purpose of Glaucoma Hope, how my eyes are doing today, a couple of recent milestones, and a recap of the year to date, including the massive pain and suffering that I've been going through, and it's been crazy. Okay, so what is Glaucoma Hope? Glaucoma Hope is meant to be a place to document the progression of my battle with glaucoma and the associated migraines. I am a living and ongoing case study, and I am having success. I don't make any claims to cure or prevent any illness for others, but I do intend to encourage others to keep fighting the good fight and look for solutions that actually make sense. So I have advanced glaucoma and I suffer from migraines. I went blind and got my vision back with cannabis oils. I'm the only one in the world that I know of having sustained success, like 8 years and counting. And if I stop taking my oils, my vision starts to break apart in about 24 hours and I go blind in less than a week. So it's no joke. My left eye is generally good. It goes haywire from time to time, but I have my full field of vision when I can see. My right eye is the one that is most compromised and the one that will go blind first. I'm reminded constantly that I have glaucoma, and I fight for my eyesight every day of my life. A little disclaimer: cannabis oils are essential to my personal battle with glaucoma, but I do take other minerals and essential nutrients to achieve and maintain my health and fitness goals. However, without my cannabis oils, I will go blind and go into daily migraines. It has happened before. So the current status, my vision is very good right now. It's fairly clear. I'm able to read, and there's no strain right now when I look with just my bad eye. With glaucoma, there's typically a good eye and a bad eye, and my right eye is my bad eye. Okay. Yesterday, though, my right eye felt very funky and it felt hazy. But when I looked at screens and at different things, it wasn't hazy when I checked, right? And it felt like there was something behind my eye too. It felt like there was almost like when there's something on in front of your eye and it irritates and feels like it's digging in and it's a little painful. It felt like that, but behind my eye. And then that developed into this massive, crazy pain, like super hardcore migraine pain. I was hurting and mad, going through all these emotions. It hurt so bad, and it lasted a long time. It was not fun, but I have my eyesight, and that's what matters to me, right? Like having my eyesight is what matters to me. I'll go through a little pain just to keep my sight. So as far as vision milestones and how I keep track of my vision, there's a couple parameters that I chart on myself to know what the real world vision is, like not what machines tell me, but what my real world vision is. So for field of vision, the amount of vision that I could see, I use shaving for that. There's other parameters too, but mainly shaving. And then for visual acuity or clarity, like the sharpness of my vision, I do that generally in the shower because it's another thing that I do often daily, and I could check and, get daily input basically. So my field of vision, the other day, a couple of days ago, I had my best day shaving, and then again today. So super cool. My field in my right eye, it is basically opened up a bit more so I could see more of the shaving area on my right side. So my face and my neck area. So let me make this bigger a little bit. So when I shave, I'll look, I'll close my left eye and I'll look with my right eye only. And in the past, when I was coming back from being blind, when I was actually able to see something, it was like a little speck, and I would like have to like sort of scan up and down just to shave my the right side of my face. And it got to where like it got bigger and bigger, and like the visual field got big enough to where I could shave comfortably, but it sort of stalled for a couple of years or more. And it was cool, but I'm able to shave, but I would like it to open up more. And the other day it did, and it opened up. And then when I shaved again today, it was either as good or better. So that's really, really cool. It made me really happy. So as far as the visual clarity, I had my best day in the shower the other day. So really good clarity, able to distinguish between the tile, the tub, the shower curtain, the little rings that hold the shower curtain, the rod. I was able to distinguish all that really easily. I could usually do it with my left eye, no problem, and I check daily just to make sure that maintains. And then with my right eye, it was just clear as well, crisp without fogginess. My eye didn't feel strained when looking out of the right eye only, because in the past, I didn't like everything meshed together, like you said. And then it got to where I could see and distinguish between stuff, but I had to sort of try. And when I would cover my left eye just to test anything, my right eye would like almost instantly feel fatigued and start to ache. And that it was started happening less and less. And now it's not really aching at all when I'm testing. And that's really, really cool. And like I said, I was able to notice just without having to try. I just cover my eye and I look, and all of a sudden there's tile, tub, shower curtain, rings. I can see all this stuff without having to try. So that's really awesome. It's a noticeable improvement, and it's maintained. Because that happened about a few days ago, a week ago, whatever, and it's been the same ever since. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm really super happy about that. So I've been ultra consistent with my protocol, and my eyesight has improved because of it. My eyesight goes through ups and downs that are scary, but I have more good days than bad right now, or more good moments than bad right now throughout the day. And that being said, the other day, my eyesight completely fried. Like my left eye went a little bit haywire, and my right eye just fried. And I'll go into detail about that a little later. But the reason I'm bringing that up right now, and let me make this a little bigger, is because it lets me know that each day my vision is a gift, and I need to keep fighting the good fight on the daily just to hold on to what I have, because I could lose it at any time. So that's a key factor. I do constantly strive for improvements, but the main goal is to not lose what I have right now. And that's what I tell people with glaucoma when they try a protocol. First off, if you're losing your eyesight, stop that in its tracks. That should be your main goal, to stop the loss and maintain what you have. And then once you've learned how to do that, to maintain that, then you could strive for improvements. Don't expect them. You could strive for them, and if they come, that's a bonus. But the main thing is to not lose what you have. Okay. So we're going to rewind to the beginning of the year, but first I want to remind you that we do not take funding from outside sources. The Health Freedom Show is sponsored by my company, Movida CBD and Superfoods, and it's also the company that supplies me with the oils I need to see and manage my conditions. So you can show support for our show by purchasing your CBD and supplements online at movidaoils.com, and you could use code MFL20 to get 20% off your purchases. And it's a multiple use code. You could use it as often as you like. Okay, so let's get back into the presentation. All right, so a brief history of my glaucoma, like over the years. When I was 30, I was told that I have glaucoma, that my glaucoma has kicked in. When I was in 6th grade, I was told that I had markers for it, and I would eventually go blind. When I was 30, I was told your stuff is kicked in, you have glaucoma, there's still no cure, you're going to go blind someday. And then from there, it took me 17 years to figure out what worked for me. I kind of stop it in its tracks and feel very fortunate that I found that, and we're currently at 8 years of sustained success. So super awesome. The only one in the world that I know of with prolonged success, right? And without my protocol, my vision starts to break apart in about 24 hours and I go blind in less than a week. It's happened before. And I've had a couple of hiccups along the way. The last big hiccup was in October 2018. I actually went without oils for 3 days because of a shipping error. And it just caused this reaction that led into the beginning of 2020, And at the beginning of 2020 is when some degradation happened. So 2020 was crazy too, and I want to talk about that. So I started seeing these starbursts in January or February after not seeing them since my last hiccup, since 2018. And these ones, these starbursts, they were thick like rope. So starbursts, they're basically like beams of light, almost like sun rays coming off the sun, but they're seen on like light bulbs and car headlights, and so most other artificial light sources, things like that, they most notably at night, but you can see them during the day. Like I have seen them during the day. It doesn't matter how advanced your glaucoma is. And they're scary because it means I'm starting to lose my eyesight. It's a regression, And at the same time of that, I went into daily migraines that lasted several weeks. So I have migraines from time to time, but when I was going blind last time and when I went blind, I was in daily migraines. So I went back into that at the beginning of this year, and it's super scary because that means more degradation, more regression, right? And then while these migraines were happening and, I'm having these starbursts and stuff, the lockdown happened for COVID. And they're saying you can't go to the doctor, you can't go to the store, and buy with non-essentials or whatever. I got all the stuff they were saying. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get my oils or raw materials or whatever from the farms. They're in Oregon, they're in Colorado. I live in California, so I didn't know if I was going to be able to get things across state lines, and I was scared. I had a good amount, because I always have a really good supply just in case things happen. I have like, usually about a year's supply. But what happens beyond that? It's scary for me to think of not being able to have my stuff because I go blind so quickly, right? So scary, scary stuff. And if that wasn't enough, I started to see friggin' floaters, right? So floaters are like these little black specks that they seem to float by, but they aren't actually there. Okay, so like if I was like watching like a TV or just like drifting off into space, like I might see some little thing floating across here, like a little black speck that's floating across, or maybe coming out and falling through, right? And out of sight, like it came into sight and it goes out of sight, And it seems like it's there. It seems like it's happening out here, but it's happening inside the eye. It's this phenomenon that happens, with people that have glaucoma and other stuff too, but a lot of times with glaucoma, and they're called floaters. And it's another sign of more degradation, loss of eyesight, going backwards. Very, very scary stuff. So I had to decide for myself, go big or go blind, right? During this time, my eyesight would go from good to hazy to shiny, to like shiny, sizzly throughout the day. And it was going from the good to the hazy and shiny way more than normal. So in other words, I was having more bad moments during the day than good moments, okay? Because my eyesight shifts like many times throughout the day, okay? And, I had these multiple signs of degradation, so I had to take action. I couldn't risk losing my eyesight again, right? So my answer to this was to macrodose on a strict schedule, like a full frontal assault to overcome degradation and save my sight, right? So when you talk about medication, that they'll often talk about like least effective dose, the minimal effective dose, and that's because medications are so toxic. Our stuff isn't. It's plant-based. It's basically like a food. So you can macrodose with confidence, and macrodosing in at least what I have found over the past 34 years working with myself and tens of thousands of other individuals, is that macrodosing is what's often needed to overcome a condition. I had forgotten about this, with myself because I overcame the condition 8 years ago, so I was in this maintenance mode. And, I needed this full frontal assault to overcome the degradation and save my eyesight. At least it's worth a shot, right? So like I mentioned, at the time I was taking a maintenance dose on a fairly regular schedule. I was taking my stuff regularly, but that wasn't enough to fully pull out of the hiccup from 2018. So before the 2018 hiccup, I was on a certain maintenance dose, right? And when the hiccup happened, I got my oils back and I went back into that same dose because that's what was keeping my eyesight. And I was actually having slight improvements here and there, and everything was good and beautiful. And that wasn't enough. I started to lose what I got to a certain point of goodness, and I started to lose it again. And I was going into this degradation, and it was almost like a yo-yo of good and bad, with more bad creeping through than good. And I remembered that the macro dosing worked 8 years ago, when I first lost my eyesight. So I decided to do it again. And guess what? It worked, but not like you would think, or like I would hope, right? I'm super happy. It worked. I stopped the degradation in its tracks, and like you said, super happy. But it's not all rainbows and sunshine. I can see better, more consistently, which was my goal. But just so you know, my right side is not as crisp most of the time as my left side, but it's clear. What I mean by it not being as clear as the left side. So sometimes I'll look with my left eye only, and I'll see very clear and bright, and I'll cover with my left eye, look through my right, and sometimes I'll see just as clear. Other times it'll be like a little bit of a tint, almost like I'm wearing sunglasses, and sometimes the sunglasses are stronger, and sometimes they have more of a tint, sometimes they have less of a tint, right? And but it's usually, most of the time right now, is clear and just going through those different things. So more good moments than bad right now. Super cool, but healing crisis kicked in. All right, so the starbursts and the floaters, they eventually stopped. So those degradation factors, they eventually stopped. So want to do backflips up and down the road. We're happy about that. My vision started to have more good moments than not. Super happy about that. Multiple healing crises kicked in, and very uncomfortable, but still happy about it. So a healing crisis is an improvement that manifests as pain or discomfort. So it's good stuff happening that feels bad. All right. 2020 has been a wild ride with lots of pain. First starting with the pain of degradation, and now we're in the pain of improvement. But I can see, and like I said, that's what matters. And we're actually having less days of pain now. There's the painful days are still severe, but there's much less of them. Remember, I was every day for several weeks at one point at the beginning of the year, and now it's like intermittent here and there, which is really, really cool. Okay, so the macro dosing of high-grade supplements, right? Why does that make it hurt? Why do healing crises happen? So this is my theory, okay? Macrodosing of high-grade supplements, including full extract hemp oil, which is what I take for my eyes, causes the breakdown and elimination of bad stuff in your body, you know, like calcification, crystallization, whatever it may be, and replaces it with what's supposed to be there, right? So, you know, with the proper nutrition, provides the proper materials to put what's supposed to be there and eliminate what's not supposed to be there. Okay. That's holistic health. That's the principles of holistic health. But this demolition or breakdown of bad stuff and replacement with good stuff is literally restructuring of your body. And this oftentimes manifests as pain or discomfort. And it only makes sense, right? So as the calcification and crystallization and swelling reduced in my head, pain points of bands and clusters formed all over my forehead and sides of my head. So this is one of the healing crisis that happened, okay? So previously, you know, throughout my, you know, the little history of this glaucoma thing, you know, like my right eye is the bad eye, the one that goes haywire most of the time, and has the migraines on the right side, all that. And I had this one band coming down. Let me make this smaller again so you can see more of me. So I had this one band coming down, and it ran through my eyebrow, the middle of my eyebrow, and into my eye socket, right? And as I was macrodosing these that one band, and it's like it's really hard, almost like a wire or a calcified vein or something, like a hardened vein. And that one vein that was going down the center, it sort of shifted a little bit, and more of those bands formed, and then it got like gritty underneath here, and little clusters formed, you know, of that grittiness, and two main clusters formed up here, right? One up here and one over here. And on the left side, it sort of coagulated into like this thing that was hard and the size of like a pinto bean, and it had extreme pain. Like all the different bands and little grittiness and stuff had pain along with it, but this one was severe pain. And my girlfriend, she massages my head, you know, like a few times a week, and she's the one that noticed it and said, "Hey, that's like feels like a pinto bean down there," you know. So I felt it, and like, yeah, it feels crazy, and it's tender, and you know, if you rub it, and it was super hard. Like you pressed into it, it was super hard, right? And like they're not squishy at all. And it stayed there for a while, and then you know it started to break down a little bit, and then now it's gone, right? And it's really cool, but it's a really interesting phenomenon, and that's just part of the healing crisis. These little things happen, but I like to tell people, you know, including myself, when we're doing something like I'm doing this macro dosing, and you know, if change is supposed to happen, and it might be painful, but if change is happening and you're doing these things that are good, and you know, and you're not messing up, you know, you're not going back and forth yo-yoing, you're just staying on point, like you know, if anything, going overboard, you know, and not missing anything, then these little painful episodes are beneficial, you know, and you sort of become able to distinguish between what a healing crisis is and what a degradation is, and going backwards. You know, that's why people like myself are important, because like your average person doesn't know that, because they don't work with it. I worked with tens of thousands of people over the years, plus myself. And, you know, I understand the difference and understand what they are as well, too. So it's really cool. Let's see. Other healing crises that happen, you know, muscle soreness in my head. So along with the pain that, you know, just from the touch of these little bands and clusters and stuff, the sides of my head became sore to the touch. Like it felt like a sore, overworked muscle, almost like when you're like, you know, traps, or your, you know, your shoulders or whatever are really overworked and somebody massages and they're sore, but it just feels really good. Like, ooh, yeah, do more of that. But that's how it felt, you know, like on the side of my head, right? Like tender to the touch, but really good when massaged. And the happened on the left side as well as the right side, and the left side is normal now. The right side, you know, which is my bad eye side, you know, my right eye is my bad eye. It was severe, and it still has a tenderness there, but it's shrunk down. And I believe it was yesterday my girlfriend was massaging my head, and she said it's about the size of a silver dollar now. It's like a localized area, and it does feel different there than like the what's underneath there. Like when you press in, it feels different, a little bit more mushy than the other parts of my head, right? So that's really super interesting, and this is, you know, another healing crisis, another phenomenon, right? This one is really interesting. You know, shortly after I did this macro dosing, let me maybe make this presentation a little bigger again. I started blowing these big white chunks out of my nose, right? And it's different than regular snot. It's these more firm, like way more firm, and has dimension and shape, and it keeps the shape, right? It's not, you can't like mold it, you know, like a snot or a booger or something like that, right? So it's almost like super, super firm tofu or something, and it's white as white can be, with no specks or any discoloration at all. Like it seems like almost impossible that something like that can come out of my nose. Not to mention the size, because it's pretty big. Some of these chunks are like an inch or more long, and they have like width and height to them as well, right? It's really, really crazy. And when I blow my nose, it doesn't really seem like there's something like that big up in there, and it mostly happens in the shower when it does happen, when it does come out. It's really, really, really interesting. It happened years ago when I first started my journey back from being blind. And when it first happened, it was old looking stuff, like this old discolored stuff, and it was hard, like super hard, and it was like dry too. It was really weird. And that stuff was even longer, and it just seemed like it was old stuff, just being broken off on that was like on my sinus cavities or something, and it's being broken off and eliminated out of my nose. And it stopped after a while, and then later it turned into these white chunks that were coming out, you know, and it was like these, and like I said, they're super firm, super white, like to the point where I would go like blow my nose in the shower, and I would feel something hit and like bounce off, because it's not like a snot, so it's not sticky, so it would bounce off. And then sometimes I would see it like it would, like if I feel it land over here and I'd see it there or something, you know, or I'd see it like on, it was like crazy. So, and I could actually look at it and study it. It was really, really interesting. And I believe it's the calcification and crystallization breaking down and being released, and it's coming out. You know, whatever it is, it doesn't need to be there. So it's cool that it's getting out of me, right? So the pain on the left side. So let's talk about that real quick. So traditionally, it had been localized on the right side of my head, and as the healing crisis kicked in, and as I was macrodosing, you know, I started to develop those bands and clusters. That one band turned into this grittiness all across, and I started getting the bands appearing all over on the right and left side, right? So my girlfriend, you know, she seems to think that part of the reason for that is that the puffiness has gone down, you know, and that you know, like the bone is more close to the surface of the skin, you know, and so there's more stuff is being revealed, and then also stuff is being broken down in there as well. So, you know, it's all good stuff, but initially it was alarming because my left eye is traditionally my good eye, and I didn't want bad stuff to happen. But these healing crises are good stuff happening, and there hasn't been anything going on with my left eye, so it's really, really cool, right? And we're just going, you know, keeping on doing, you know, fighting the good fight and doing my protocol, you know, on schedule, no matter what, right? So vision, you know, good and bad. At the beginning of the year, my vision was degrading. I was starting to have more bad moments than good moments throughout the day. And my vision was good most of the time on my left eye, but my right eye, it was all over the board, right? And when I say changes in vision, what I mean by that, like, there's different things that could happen. It could be like these, what I call these little gray splotches or clouds. And it's like if I was looking at a computer screen and my eye was going through that little change in vision at that moment, because it could change throughout the day, then I would see like gray cloudiness, you know, throughout the screen, right? Or whatever I'm looking at. And there would be little portions of clarity throughout. So the vision isn't just like where I have one area of clarity and, you know, the rest is like hazy or whatever. It's these little bits, like almost like a puzzle piece, you know, and it's really, really weird. And then other times it's those varying levels of tint, you know, and haziness, and you know that I mentioned before. At other times it's instead of gray splotches or clouds, it's sizzling. So it's like this shiny sizzle. And you know, when my eyes are bad, it's like more sizzle and little spots of clear. And when my vision is better, and it's sizzling, there'll be like more spots of clear and little sizzles, little spots of sizzle here and there. And it's really, really interesting. It's like this word vision that you see right there. Like I might see the if I'm looking at that word vision, I might see like the I and the V sizzling, and I'll see the rest of the letters. And I literally, it's not even like where I could make out what the letter is. It's just like sizzling in that area. It's like really, really weird. And there's nothing I could do about it. It's just something that happens, you know, and you know, goes away and whatever, you know, it's just part of the phenomenon. So right now it's happening less, like you said. Oh yeah, the other one is where it just be completely blurred, and like everything is just blurred and just hazy, and you know, and you just hope that it comes back. So like we said, it happens mostly in my right eye. The sizzling and stuff like that happens in my left eye from time to time, and splotchiness. The tint doesn't really happen too much. The blurriness doesn't really happen, but the sizzling and the gray splotches will happen a little tiny bit from time to time. But it's mostly good. The changes mostly happen in my right eye, and the scary thing about all of it is I never know if my vision's coming back when it goes. You know, I never know if it's coming back until it does. And that's super scary. When you're in it, you know, you'll understand. And if you're watching this and you have glaucoma and you're losing your vision, then you probably understand what I'm talking about, you know, how scary this stuff could be. So today I'm having more good sight days overall than bad. You know, my migraines still kick in from here and there, but it's not daily. And during this time when things like this are going good, right? This is the time. This is one of the toughest times for to stay diligent with the protocol. You know, because things are going good and people have self-sabotaging things inside of them. And, you know, you just think, okay, it's good. Might not need as much. And you start skipping things or whatever. And that's when you go back into that yo-yo kind of thing, you know, and that's what most people do. You know, they yo-yo back and forth. They do it with diets. They do it with other things like pain, whatever. But you cannot do that with your eyesight. You cannot do that with your eyesight. Just believe me. I've been doing this too long. You know, I'm not even going to discuss it. Just understand that. While things are going well, I did have a humbling experience the other day. So I was working on my website. I mentioned this at the very beginning. I was working on my website late one night, and my right side vision just felt strange. It basically fried. It was really hard to look at the computer screen, right? And when I checked my eyesight, I discovered why. So about 70% of the eyesight in my right eye was completely gone. It was just like sizzling and shiny, and especially on computer screens. It was a little funky on my left eye, but it was mainly cool. But my right eye was just gone. You know, I couldn't see enough to work, and there was such a discomfort that I had to stop working. And it was like the screen was completely shiny, sizzly, with these little windows of visual clarity scattered here and there. Like I said, it physically hurt. So it was a humbling experience because it lets me know that my eyesight can be taken at any instant with no warning, even when I'm doing everything right. So like I said, I've been doing everything. I'm not going back and forth. I'm not yo-yoing. I'm staying diligent. I mean, I literally, you know, have somebody, you know, set out the stuff for me to take every day. I like, it's that important to me. Like, and this still happened, right? So that's why it's humbling, you know, and why I am thankful every day that I have sight, because I understand that it can be taken. And I don't really have control. The only control I have is to stay diligent with my protocol. So, like I said, I had to stop and lay down that night, but I continued to take my protocol on schedule because that's all I have. I have to stand up to glaucoma and fight the good fight constantly in times of good and bad. You know, I have to believe that what I'm doing overall is going to be beneficial for me, that it is beneficial for me, that there are hiccups, but I will get through them and I will have my sight. So my eyesight is getting better overall. I'm having more good moments than bad throughout the day. I had my best day shaving the day, right? I had my best day in the shower the other day, and I've been able to maintain that. And then I was able to put the cap on my pen without difficulty the other day too. And let's see, I have a pen right here. I'll show you what I mean by that, right? So I went like this, you know, like that, right? That might not seem like a big deal to you, okay? But before, when I tried that, I put my pen in my mouth. Like even earlier this year, I put my pen in my mouth. That's one of the things that let me know I was going the other way. And I couldn't see, like it was blurry, and I couldn't put the cap on. I kept on missing. Like I missed like 6 times, and I got so pissed off that I just took the pen out of my mouth. I mean, that was scary. And like now when I put this thing in my mouth, I see completely clear. So that's crazy awesome. All of these different things that are happening, I call those glimmers of hope, okay? You know, there are successes, there are milestones, but I call them glimmers of hope. And that's why I started Glaucoma Hope, right? You know, the fight against glaucoma, it's a lifelong battle that you must be willing to take on in good times and in bad. And long-term success is achieved by being patient, persistent, and consistent with your efforts, no matter the circumstance. I call it fighting the good fight. And I will continue to do so until the day I die, you know, for sure, because I value my sight that much. So that being said, you know, I'm doing good. You know, I'm doing good with my glaucoma, and I'm currently seeking a few people that have glaucoma or chronic pain or both to participate in some case studies. I haven't done some case studies in a while because I've been going through my own thing and having to help myself basically. But now it's time to get some case studies going. And if you qualify, you'll get a customized protocol, you know, one-on-one consultations directly with me, you know, monthly. And it's a great opportunity if you are interested in holistic health. So if that sounds like you, send an email to support@myfitlife to request more info. All righty. So let me pull back out of here. Let me see. Yep. So that's it. I'm going to pull back out of here. So, okay, guys, that concludes my presentation. You know, with the Glaucoma Hope updates for 2020. Thank you for joining us for this. Remember that we do not take outside. Let's put this up here real quick. You don't take any funding from outside sources. The Health Freedom Show is sponsored by my company, Movida CBD and Superfoods, and you can show support for our show by purchasing your CBD and supplements online at movidaoils.com. Use code MFL20 to get 20% off your purchases. And remember, if you are interested or know somebody that may be interested in doing a case study, support at movidaoils.com. Until next time, this is Al Morentin, host of the Health Freedom Show. Knowledge is power and health is wealth. Have a beautiful day. Peace.